All right, the Black Stripes are coming off. Max Clare, I saw his name. I saw a few other names. No big surprise. Tony, does Ryan Day take this as seriously as Urban Meyer and other coaches?
Oh
Does it
yeah,
seem?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think so. There will probably be people that tell you maybe Ryan Day is a little more lax with it, like it's maybe easier. But that I would just base that on the number of freshmen who have lost it in the spring over the years under Day compared to Meyer. But we're still waiting on our first true freshman to lose his black stripe. We've seen, as you said, Max Clare and a couple of redshirt freshmen in Nickelback, Miles Lockhart, and defensive end Dominic Kirks. So the first true freshman, we're waiting on that one. It doesn't happen every spring, but you've had one scrimmage, and that's where some things start to happen. Then we'll have the Student Appreciation Day on Saturday, which is like another scrimmage. They'll be scrimmaging to that, and so maybe towards after that, in this that the next couple of weeks, we'll see if any of the true freshmen can get in there and lose that black stripe. But yeah, it's very serious, and when you talk to players about it, they'll tell you like, I want to get rid of it, and when they have it, what it means to them, and what it means to like their big brothers who are there and are part of it. And like you see the videos every time they do one, the entire team erupts because, and then like the position group even more so. So yeah, it's still a very big deal, and we'll continue on. I don't see it ending anytime soon.
Yeah, we haven't seen any of the freshmen yet, which is interesting. Miles Lockhart, redshirt freshman, got his. Max Clare, the transfer from Purdue, got his, as you would expect. And now we'll wait and see which of the freshmen is the first one out of that group to get it. Saturday is the Student Appreciation Day, which is actually a great day for the media to go and watch practice. So looking forward to it. Usually get to see a lot of good scrimmage situations that day, and should be a lot of fun to be there and be able to film some practice and talk to some people afterwards and different things, and usually a really good day.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Last year, the two freshmen that lost their black stripes were Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sayin. In 2023, it was Carnell Tate, Jelani Thurman, and Malik Hartford. And in 2022, it was Kai Stokes and Caden Curry. So
long forgotten Kai Stokes. Now, were those the only ones in those springs, or were those just the first ones?
Those were just the true freshmen.
But for the entire spring, they were the only freshmen that had it.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So it usually isn't more than 2 or 3 guys in a spring. I thought maybe it'd be 4 or 5, and then 4 or 5 more in the fall. But yeah.
So it's certainly not easy to do. And Jeremiah Smith was the fastest ever, and Julian Sayin was the fastest ever quarterback. So a pretty decent class last year. We'll see what this year's class can do.
Yeah. So I'm going to be the skeptic here. Not easy to do, but everyone gets it accomplished. When I say everyone, I mean everyone who is reasonably expected to get it accomplished does.
Well, generally, you're not going to play until the point where that happens. They're probably not even going to put you on special teams until you show you've reached an accomplishment level, effort-wise and accomplishment-wise within the program. So they're not even going to consider you to be on, a special teams. What will happen is they get into the season and some guys will start appearing in games, and then we never took his black stripe off. It comes, it dawns on them, and they have to retroactively do it after somebody has actually played a key part in a game. So yeah, but that's very rare for that to happen.
There must be a black stripe, black book somewhere.
Yeah, somebody's keeping track of it.
Yakov is keeping track of Julian Sayin, reminding him of Joe Montana.
Well, let's start at the top. Why not? I don't know. He won a lot of games.
He's not the biggest guy in the world. No. That's the comparison I'm going to draw.
Yeah, hoping to see some of what makes him special in this Student Appreciation Day practice and scrimmage on Saturday. That will be, I think what a lot of people are looking for is some magic there. So let's see it. We've talked about it forever, and rubber is about to hit the road. So you got to be able to deliver on a promise, and we'll see which guys do and which guys don't beginning Saturday.
Well, I'll just say this. If Julian Sayin is only as good as Joe Montana in college, Ohio State made a mistake. So, because I just, numbers are always generational or whatever. Like Joe Montana threw 25 touchdowns in his college career and threw 25 interceptions.
Ooh.
His first year as a starter, he threw for 1,604 yards with 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. His last year as a starter threw for 2,010 yards with 10 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Those are Greg Fry numbers, and those will not do at Ohio State.
No,
I don't think they're Greg Fry numbers.
No, the touchdowns are. Greg Fry was the first Ohio State quarterback to throw for over 2,000 yards in 3 seasons. But those are not great yards. At least he did rush for 100 yards, 104 yards, and 6 touchdowns in his final year. So
he had that Cotton Bowl. Was it against Houston where he had the flu and they gave him the chicken soup and that made him feel better?
They were down 34-10. I believe was the score in that one. 35.
Were you cutting the video that day, Mark, for Sports Center on that one?
It's floating around there on YouTube. Absolutely. It's out there. Bill Walsh coached those interceptions out of him immediately.
Hey, if you only have to throw into the flats to Roger Craig, you're going to be okay. You throw some slants to Jerry Rice, you're going to be all right.
Okay. Those guys came around a few years later.
But
it was Earl Cooper and Dwight Clark and
He was my I considered him the best quarterback of all time until about 2/3 through Tom Brady's career. Then it was like, okay. But yeah, as a Bears fan, I hated Joe Montana. And then I also hated Steve Young because he was also really damn good.
Yeah, they played an NFC championship game up in Chicago that was not even close. And the cold was supposed to get to those San Francisco players, and it certainly didn't. It was like 10 degrees outside. I think the score of that game was 28-3. All right. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Keep in mind that if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. We provide all the audio for each one of these get-togethers with Steve. Steve, you glossed over this a while ago, and I'd like to circle back to who's going to put heat on the quarterback for this football team this year.
Yeah,
who are those guys going to be?
That's a tremendous question. And one of my friends who attended the scrimmage on Saturday was not impressed with the pass rush. And this kind of runs cyclical. When they've had a good offensive line, they've dominated in the spring against the defensive line. And last 2 years when they've had a pretty good defensive line, they've dominated against the offensive line. And now the balance of power has kind of swung back the other way with the veterans in the middle on the offensive line and the tryouts that are going on right now at tackle. So obviously you've got Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson, who were the understudies for JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer. And then you've got CJ Hicks, who's moved in from the linebacker position. And you've got the Logan kid. What is his name? Logan
George.
Logan George comes in from the FCS ranks. And they're kind of the backups. I'm not aware right now that anybody else has really stepped up at those positions, maybe Josh Mickens or somebody else, but it's they've got to develop some depth there. If they could find a pass rusher, or as Tony said in his answer in the chat, a defensive tackle that can help up front in the portal after spring ball's done, they may just go do that. So I feel like they've got the ability to go out and to still peruse the portal for what's out there at some key positions. And, defensive line may be one of them. I don't know. I guess we'll have to get a little deeper into this and again, get a feel for it on Saturday. If they're putting relentless pressure on the quarterback just with a 4-man rush, then you'd say, oh, things are pretty good. But again, I think the offensive line has worked its way up a little bit. And when the tackles are solidified, that it should be a pretty good unit.
Yeah, I think one of the things to keep in mind with the pass rush right now is half of the pass rush is still learning. CJ Hicks he's still learning the job. and learning the nuances. And we see him every day after practice talking with Matt Patricia, and those two are always talking and working on stuff. And then he'll go off, CJ Hicks will go off and work with the defensive ends on some other things. And Logan George is coming in from not just the FCS, he's also coming into a completely different defense. He played in like a 3-3-5 stack, and as a defensive end in that, so much of his attacking was done almost with against the guards, and sometimes the guard in the center or the guard in the tackle, where it's just a completely different thing than now doing some one-on-one pass rushing. So he's still getting the nuance of that as well. So this spring is it's a basic thing for the pass rush, and in terms of basic pass rushing, and then you add stuff to it. So I wouldn't get too concerned. I think the big concern, though, is still the relatively unproven nature of everybody that they have at defensive end right now in terms of production, because you've had Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau basically as a brick wall from getting anybody else on the field. So, I think Kenyatta Jackson had maybe 2.5 sacks or a sack and a half last year, and he's probably got 4 in his career. And, Caden Curry has probably got like 5 in his career. So not a lot of production. And you're hoping that they'll all be good to go, especially those two guys as 4th-year guys. And CJ Hicks is a senior as well. Logan George is a 4th-year guy. So these are all 4th-year guys, but they've never been asked to do it 50 times in a game. So they're all still kind of learning, I think.
Our buddy David Greenshield had asked in the chat, and Tony responded about the transfer portal and what we might expect in terms of going to get a need filled after spring ball.
Yeah, I think defensive tackle is where it's at. And Ryan Day even didn't deny. He said they need to see more from the guys behind Caden McDonald and Edric Houston. So you're Jason Moore, your Will Smith, Eric Mensah, those guys that haven't really done anything yet, haven't done enough yet to Taiwan Malone to get, and this is Taiwan Malone, it's a 5th-year guy. They need him. So they need those guys to begin producing in terms of just being trustworthy, being consistent, and enough flashing. They've just got, the lights got to stay on. And I don't know that will happen this spring. So I do think they'll go looking. Now, can they find anything? Because everybody else is going to be looking too. That's the problem about trying to get a left tackle in the portal. So is everybody else. Trying to find a defensive tackle in the portal. So is everybody else. So it's got to be the right guy, and it's got to be somebody that wants to come to Ohio State, and somebody that isn't interested in just, the highest price, because that's not what Ohio State's going to give you.
Well, I think it's been pretty obvious from the 5 years that we've had this transfer portal that the first cycle in December has been the bigger cycle, both from quality and quantity standpoints. Although if you're just going to go out there and flash some money at someone and go grab somebody, then that's obviously possible as well.
Well, I mean, and everybody that goes in the winter, that's the big hunting season. That's where everybody just goes in, and all of the big names. The problem then is all of the agents can tell, hey, Ohio State's going to be looking for a tackle. We should think about going into the portal. And maybe that guy already went into the portal, and maybe he's only been with his new team for 4 months, and maybe he can't leave. But the agents will tell players what teams are looking for. So if they didn't go into the portal, and now they're well, if Ohio State's looking, or if Michigan is looking, or if Notre Dame, it's well, maybe I'll jump in, because there are so many back channels with agents right now that, and again, everything is legal because nothing is being stopped.
Correct.